Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of Acoustic Analysis. I'm Warren Beesley and today we are going to get analysis paralysis with Billy Joel's New York State of Mind off of his Turnstiles album. We're going to take a look at how to play it, and it is a handful, let me tell you. There's some beautiful chords though in this song. We're going to talk about who wrote it, who produced it, who engineered it, some of the people who played on it, where it was recorded, etc. I'm going to take a look at why it's an important song, a very important song for Billy Joel, both then and even more so now. And we're going to ask the question, what does it all mean, Basil? What's the deep, deep meaning behind this tune? I'm going to also take a stab at running through the entire song front to back, singing it with my little guitar here, so don't go away.
It's acoustic analysis.
Okay, so let's have a look at these chords. Little insight into where I'm coming from here. When I first started playing guitar, I would be asked to say, hey, do an Elton John song, do a Billy Joel song, and I would shy away. Ooh, no, those are piano tunes. I'm a guitar player, man. I can't play that stuff. And then I realized that chords are chords. Whether it's a C chord played on a guitar or a C chord played on a piano, what the heck's the difference? There is no difference. Even if you're looking at covering some 80s tunes on an acoustic guitar and they're all synth-based and everything else, they're still chords. That's all they are. Why the heck not? There's no reason. So there you go. This is a total piano-based tune. It's a bit into the deep end. I want you to remember one thing as you go through this. Not for the faint of heart. You may have to pause and go through it more than one time. Understandable. I won't judge you for it. It took me a while to get them all to. There's a lot of sevenths, a lot of major sevenths and minor sevenths. Just think sevenths and you'll get it. He was going for a real bluesy kind of atmosphere with this one, and I think that's where he was coming from. And boy, it's, by the way, wait till we get to the bridge. Best bridge of all time. I think it might be. It's my vote anyway. So, it's in the key of C. That's the last time that this song is easy. Key of C. So then we go to E7. So it's some folks like to get away. So it's C to E7. Then we're A minor 7, G minor 7, C, F, A7, D minor, B flat, C, E7, A minor 7, A minor 7, D7, G, oh wait a minute, sorry, F major 7, then G, and then the turnaround, which is this. It's A minor 7, D7, A minor 7, G, G7, and then repeat. Okay, so that's that part. Now, the bridge. How do you go up a full tone within the same key and then bring it all back to roost onto the C in the end? Ooh, well, only Billy Joel can answer that question. What a freaking genius, man. Check this move out. So, the bridge starts off in A minor 7. It was so easy living day by day, so it's A minor, just so you know where we are. A minor 7, D7 to G. And now, this is an interesting trick. He's going to hold the G here, but go to a G minor 7. And then C, F. And here's where it gets tricky. We go up a full tone. We're going to B minor 7. How'd we get there? B minor 7, but now I need a little give and take, down to E7, and then we go to A, back to A, finally, but what does he goes to a major 7 on the A. But like he did with the G earlier, you stick on the A, you don't change chords, you change inversions, you go to a minor 7, of course. So we're from A major 7 to A minor 7, the New York Times, and then we're to a D7, and then back to the G, the Daily News, a little turnaround, and it comes down to reality, so that's it. It just goes back to this. So there's only two parts of the song. There's the verse and chorus, the turnaround part, and then there's the bridge part. The best bridge of all time. Okay, so we have to now take a look at who wrote, produced, recorded, where it was recorded, and all that wonderful detail in our analysis of this fantastic classic. Billy Joel wrote it. He was a singer-songwriter. From the early 70s, that was the big thing. You've got James Taylor and Joni Mitchell and Neil Young and the big singer-songwriter Elton John. All of these fantastic singer-songwriter generation all spawned these fantastic artists. But unlike all of them, Billy's career kind of died. He had this big track with Piano Man, and then nothing really happened. Including this album. Sorry, Billy, but it didn't take off either. But for some reason, after Piano Man, the record company kept giving him money and giving him money. How much money did this album cost? Wow, check this out. He recorded the entire thing all the way through front to back, the whole album, 32, 33 minutes, something like that, of tracks for both sides, and did it at the Caribou Ranch. You've heard me talk about the Caribou Ranch before. This is the place that was owned by a gentleman by the name of James Jerison. How do you pronounce it? I'm probably screwing this up. Gersio? I don't know if it's a hard G or not. When you read this stuff in books, you don't know how to pronounce the words. Anyway, so Jamesy boy, we'll call him, in Colorado had this fantastic recording facility. He was the manager and producer of all of Chicago's albums through the 70s. I think about 5 of them at least. And they were all recorded there. At Caribou Ranch. Elton John was recording there, and that is important because Billy Joel used Elton John's entire band to do all of the tracks for this full album, Turnstiles. But he didn't. And here's what I mean. The thing was finished, he was taking it back home, and he wasn't happy with it. He listened to it, and he was just shaking his head going, no, that's not what I'm looking for. So he ended up getting his his road band into the studio for the first time. And here's where I think his head was at. I think that he had run by all of these songs with his on-the-road band, or a lot of them, and he had that sound. He was used to playing with these guys. They were a band, like a full, even though it's called Billy Joel, it became a band. They played together so much, that happens. And it was a unit. He had that sound for all of those particular instruments, and in his head, no other musician, I don't care, I mean, obviously, how good you are, Elton John's band, they're no slouches, man. But it wasn't the sound that he had in his head. And I think things went down really quickly when he re-recorded back in New York, Columbia Studios and Ultrasonic Studios in New York. He recorded the rest of it at. And he also, for comfort's sake, went back to John Bradley. He used John Bradley as the engineer before on Cold Spring Harbor, which is a previous album. Went back to him again. It was apparently a teaming of these guys with his road band that worked really well, because he used these guys forever after that, basically all the rest of his recording career. So that's what happened with the production and the engineering. Like I said, a pretty fascinating story. Can you imagine getting the advance from the record company after you hadn't had a hit in 5 years to record an album not once, but no guys, I don't like it, I want to start all over again, and do it twice? Whoa! Man, he obviously, they really believed in him. So, very cool story though. So why was this track important to Billy Joel? Let's talk about that. Well, at the time, this was not a single. They never released this as a single. Nobody knew the song. Nobody knew the album. The album went nowhere. In fact, it topped out at 122 on the American Top 200, which is not a dent. So it had no significance at the time. It would only in later life become something. So that's significant too. This is the album you have to remember. 1976, this is just before his real breakout. Yes, Piano Man was a hit, but his real breakout commercially was The Stranger, and that came in 1977. This is the album before The Stranger. This is the album that made The Stranger because he found his road band and brought them into the studio, and The Stranger is a band album. I mean, he's a solo artist, but The Stranger is a band album. Those guys made it happen. Liberty DeVito on drums. those tracks wouldn't exist without what he put into them, in my opinion. It did a fantastic job. The whole band did. And that's what made it work. And this is where it started on the album before, Turnstiles. So after The Stranger took off, what happens with a lot of artists is when they finally do get some of that success, they get a lot of fans that look at the back catalog, and later in life these tracks take on a whole new life. So, and they sell. So this ended up selling well over 1 million copies in the end. And New York State of Mind was also featured on greatest hits albums and everything else. So we all became very familiar with it, even though it never was a single in its own right. Also, you can't forget Billy doing this for the concert for New York after 9/11. That was a pretty heart-melting moment, and it's certainly a staple or a signature song, really, even of Billy's now. But then, of course, what does it all mean, Basil? What does the lyrical content of this mean to Billy Joel? The poor guy was pining for New York, his home. Well, he didn't grow up in New York, but it was close to. Now he lives in Connecticut and Manhattan, I think. But at that point, this is the story that I heard on a Stern interview. He was on a Greyhound bus, as the lyric says, on the Hudson River line, looking at his beloved New York, and the line came to him. I'm going to think it was because it was a word play. He was back in New York State. New York State, the state of New York. New York State of Mind. Ooh, brilliant. Write that down. He got home and he wrote the whole song, or so the story goes. That's where it came from. And it is a lament. It's a lament from a guy who is homesick. And it doesn't matter how rich or powerful or famous you are, as he's now learned that lesson, and he's never moved from the East Coast since. To this day, you can't put a price tag on home, doesn't matter how rich you are. And he learned that lesson early on. 2 years in LA, more than enough for him. He's seen all the movie stars in the fancy cars and their limousines, and it was time for him to go home. So, without further ado, I give to you the song. Before I do that, I have to geek out for a minute and talk about the guitar I'm playing here, which is a little bit of a story. I'm going a little outside the box on this one. I picked up a couple of my guitars, and it just wasn't sounding... I was looking for something like an old, dead, hollow body and a smoky bar kind of tone, and I wasn't getting it from anywhere. So I thought, okay, I'll pick up my daughter's guitar. This is an Epiphone. It's gorgeous, actually, but it's an Epiphone, solid spruce top Epiphone, one of their higher end guitars, and it's a Hummingbird. And but here's the thing: she's had this since 2014. She doesn't really play it anymore. It's been sitting there forever, and the strings are totally dead. But it gives it the tone I wanted. I want that dark, smoky tone for this song. It kind of fits. So I'm going to use it. Why not? It's the right tool for the job. So without further ado, I give to you New York State of Mind, 1976, Billy Joel's Turnstiles album. Some folks like to get away, take a holiday from the neighborhood. Hop a flight to Miami Beach or to Hollywood. I'm just taking the Greyhound on the Hudson River line, 'cause I'm in the New York State of Mind. I've seen all them movie stars and their fancy cars and their limousines. Been high in the Rockies under the evergreens. I just know what I'm needing. I'm not gonna waste more time, 'cause I'm in a New York State of Mind. It was so easy living day by day, out of touch with the rhythm and blues. But now I need a little give and take. New York Times, Daily News. When it comes down to reality, Well, that's fine with me, 'cause I'll let it slide. Don't care if it's Chinatown or on Riverside. I just know what I'm needing. Not gonna waste more time, 'cause I'm in a New York state of mind. I'm just taking that Greyhound, yeah baby, on the Hudson River line. 'Cause I'm in a New York state of mind. Yeah. All right, there you have it. Billy Joel's classic New York State of Mind. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like it. If you want to share it with your friends, I have no objection to that. And if you want to subscribe, much appreciated. Much appreciated. If you want to hear any songs, you have any recommendations for things that we should do in the future, make a note in the comments section and we'll try to get to it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
It's acoustic analysis.